The session is actually very exciting, right? It's all about how we are seeing the future of broadcast, of streaming in this country. Now, just want to put down, some of the facts as we see them in India. That we are now looking at, of course, one of the largest markets in the world. That goes without saying because of the population that we have. But rough numbers indicate, a television reach of 830 million people, which is again one of the largest in the world, if not the largest. We've got a streaming reach of more than 575 million people. And that's despite the fact we still have another 250 million odd feature phones which haven't converted into smartphones. And on top of that, we have a radio reach, which is, I think, second to none, right? We cover 99% of the landmass and pin codes. We have 1,100 stations now, including all of AIR stations and all the community radio stations. So it is an extremely large market and it's extremely tech intensive, of course, to enable all of this stuff. So to go deeper into this market, I think we have a fantastic panel. Um, I'm going to start with a few data points and then questions around them. So paid streaming in India for the first time has crossed 125 million subscriptions. That's a huge number, and that happened in December 2024. The number is far higher since then because GeoStar put the IPL behind the paywall, and I've read some news articles that say the number is in excess of 250 million paid subscriptions now, which is massive. Um, but for this panel, I mean, you are the guys who run the backbone of all this stuff. You use this content, you build out systems and manage the content. I think I think starting with you, Tim, when we're talking about so many paid subscribers and you're talking about 575, 600 million reach, what are one or two of the things that producers, broadcasters need to keep in mind to manage this load and to help this industry grow even more when it comes to content distribution in India?
The easiness of the operations, because there's a lot of content, and one of the things which is really important is the event-based content. And because you get so much, it also means that your organization has to adapt to it. You have to make sure that it's easy to include it, and that also you can monitor the video quality in a very easy way. And the second thing is probably even more important, because you're streaming so much, you have to make sure that you have a very good quality, but with the lowest bandwidth that is available, because otherwise your streaming cost will not only explode, but at a certain moment you will also not able to deliver to the consumers.
You said a very interesting point on simplicity. The last World Cup and the IPL were done with more than 20 different feeds live in terms of different languages, in terms of different camera angles, views, presentations, etc. Is that what the future is about? Customized production for large cohorts?
Definitely a much bigger variant. On one side, people are streaming not just inside the country, but you also go outside the country for people that are interested in the content, but also for people that used to live here but are outside the content. So you have to make sure that the content is ready for that country and things like that. And on the other side, people want to see a more immersive experience. So they want to see multiple angles. They want to see their team focused on their team. So instead of having one camera on one game, you're going to have 20 cameras on one game. And AI technology will also help you to make sure it's in the language that you want, and you can translate in all the languages that you want to.
As Railtel, I would say that penetration in urban areas not a challenge right now, but if we talk of rural areas where masses of still our population reside in the rural areas, so there is a still challenge, and we find that the economy of scales are not still there. Though Railtel innovated a model almost 10 years ago when we partnered with local cable operators. So today we have 11,000 plus local cable operators as our partners
Wow.
who are spreading broadband services to the mostly rural areas. 65% of our broadband connections come from rural areas. We have close to 6 lakh subscribers today. And But those local cable operators also struggle because of, I think, the internet services, the broadband services, which are presently, uh, though they are regulated. I think Mahesh Srivastava Sahib is sitting there. He has been in TRAI. So there is a lot of unregulated players available in the market who are very difficult to control. In fact, once I met Chairman TRAI also and requested him that at least. So there is, this is one challenge which I see, so that the ISPs who are following all the regulatory practices, paying taxes, levies. So this is one challenge which I face. Second would be the availability of content edge, because nowadays live streaming of, maybe IPL, of such other events, has become very important. So availability of content in, maybe in content, CDN networks kind of things, though these kind of tools were available earlier also, but have not proliferated the way they should have. And maybe monetization is one part. I remember, we have also spoken to few of the CDNs earlier, but somehow it could not work. Recently, Railtel has decided to have around 100 plus edge data centers, which will be located across the country, mostly covering all the states and in along the railway track, of course. I think edge data centers will play a significant role in distribution, in reducing the latency, and maybe saving mm, the uh, telecom cost, NLD cost for the service providers also. But I think the challenges are not so insurmountable that we can't overcome them. And we are a great country. We have largest number of, uh, as you initial talks, you told about numbers. There are subscribers available already, 1.1 plus billion. Uh, so I'm sure that these challenges, of course, will be there. With the advancement of new technologies, new challenges will come again, and expectations of the users will also continue to grow. But I'm sure that they'll not be, uh, there'll not be something which is not possible.
The distinction between paid, users and unpaid users, free streaming continues to bring the increase in the market. The biggest, rise in the market continues to be free streaming. People want to watch free. There are a lot of people who don't want to pay for streaming. Now, there are specific services people are willing to pay for, but there are a lot of free users out there. We cannot leave them out because those users continue to bring growth to the market, whether it's in ad revenue and, collaborative revenue around it. So I almost don't like to distinguish between the two because we still have to serve the same, process they're utilizing, where they're saying this user can't pay more than 200 rupees. Let me offer him the service for 200 because we still need him on the internet or need her on the internet. So I think that's one part of it. We cannot deny that. Now, the second part of this, sorry to interrupt, but in news, subscription is a very, very tough game. It
Very
has to
tough.
be advertising driven. And people have started the subscription game. I worked for organizations where they said, okay, let's start charging 50 paisa a month, a rupee a month. Doesn't even work. People are not willing to pay even 1 rupee a month. So you're banking on advertising and you're banking on that. It doesn't matter whether you're paid or unpaid, you're still paying for it because advertising is paying for you. So, you are still the product there. Now, the second part of this is content creation. Now, the content creation is going to continue getting better with the streaming age as we have better technology, whether we'll have Railtel or we'll have a use or we'll have whatever other services in the world. Live streaming content continues to grow at the highest rate, 27% more than anything else. So, live is going to be important. And then you talked about camera angles, and I say
News today is going towards a 360 camera angle. No longer a flat two-dimensional, "Oh, I will show you what I want to show you and I will hide what I don't want to show you." It's going to continue going towards the 360 formats with the availability of larger bandwidth internet. The 360 will come in play where people can watch a mob and the police interact with each other.
Wow.
You're not going to just see the mob, you will see the police as well, what they're doing. So that's where it is. I think that's the game. And it comes down to news specifically. We are going that direction. Streaming is going to be a very, very important part of it, not on just the streaming end from when it reaches the facility to the user, but also from the content creator to the unit and then going live. People don't trust store and forward anymore because the curation has got tremendous amount of control, and that control is sometimes, you know, curated by governments and organizations which people don't want. People say, "Show me live, I believe it, otherwise keep it with you."
We did a survey about 25,000 mobile phone users. And we asked a question that do you consume news? And where do you consume news? And more than 75% of them, 73%, I can't remember the number, said that they consume news on WhatsApp, YouTube, X, etc. Right? In that scenario, what you spoke about as 360, not just in camera angles, but also in terms of distribution, becomes extremely important. Let's imagine we're in 2030. What will be news distribution at that point in time? And how vast is it going to be?
News distribution is going to get more important. People have gone through last 4, 5, 6 years through a phase where people were trusting news and weren't trusting news. But I think the phase is coming when people are going to go back to news because it's going to become very important. There, every aspect of their life is going to be touched, and people will recognize they got to know things themselves, and they want to see it with their own eyes happening live. Whether it's going to be the medium is going to be WhatsApp, possibly because it will, have a lot of the market, but it doesn't matter. It's still going to be live. So
It,
whatever be the medium, the message needs to be live and it needs to go across, and that's what's going to
I'm going to add
dominate the market.
2 points to that from my point of view. One is WhatsApp is the largest platform in the country today with more than 60 crore.
Waves, the streaming platform of Prasar Bharati, it has been developed for inclusivity and trustworthiness. The primary aim, and you will agree that India has a proven track record of developing population-led platform like uh, Cowin, Arogya Setu, and Aadhaar. So, which has been engineered very well to tackle the complexity and diversity of the India's landscape. And if you uh, uh, now the shift is from make in India to make for the world, where we are building platforms that are globally benchmarked but locally rooted. Taking this inspiration, Prasar Bharati has decided and launched a platform, and Railtel has been our partner in development of this platform. And we have we are targeting to bridge the divide between rural and urban India, so that the a meaningful, purposeful content is delivered everywhere in every corner of the country. And if you go to the legacy of public broadcasting in India, it started way back in 1927 when transmission of All India Radio first started. Then in 1936, All India Radio was institutionalized. And since then, it's carrying the burden of responsibility, rather, of public broadcasting on its soldiers almost for 90 years. Then in 1965, we saw the emergence of Doordarshan, India's own platform for visual storytelling,
which has shaped cultural development in this generation. And now, with the emergence of our own digital streaming platform, public service streaming platform, Waves, we target to carry forward that responsibility to the masses. And we have given opportunity. I mean, if you go into the legacy of All India Radio and Doordarshan, we have not just been a storyteller, we have been the enablers in the society. I mean, we have provided platform for n numbers of creators, filmmakers, journalists, and I mean, you can name lot of them who are the icons of Indian media as of now, who started their career from All India Radio and Doordarshan. So with that legacy, we aim to provide the platform to the Indian creators, to the Indian newsmakers, and to all the innovation which can happen. We have not limited ourselves to the production inside the Doordarshan or radio studios. We are open to creators. I mean, many developments which is going on, and we are just 6 months old. And since then, if you see what progress we have made, we are approximately 3.5 million user base. And if you see our daily uh, active user base, it is rising 2x. We have gained at least 25 to 50% of active user content consumption on our platform months on month. And here we target to reach at least 50 million user by say end of 2026.
Wow.
And then we target to onboard as many creators, as many newsmakers, which who do not get platform for content dissemination on popular platforms, but they are rooted. So with that uh, public broadcasting, the legacy of public broadcasting, and the uh, for purpose of delivery of meaningful content to the Indian masses, we are here, and we are meant to be here. And you must agree, the streaming as of now is the most democratic way of the content consumption for which we are sitting here. I mean, user, he is free to watch what he want to watch, when he want to watch, and how he want to watch. And that is our target, to meet the expectation of masses.
The costs are really spread in two parts. And the first is where you have to manage all the events, you have to do the compression, and you have to be able to monitor everything in a live situation. And the way that we do that is we have moved from just pure compression to what we call quality controlled compression, where you continuously know what your video quality is at every moment into the process. And that's important because when you have a lot of events, you want to know, is my quality right and is everything okay, in a very easy, simplified way. One of the things which we also see is that the whole installation and the whole management of the system is not done by engineering anymore. It's done by the network operation people that grab in all the events, especially when there's a lot of sports on Saturday and during the weekend. And you want to simplify that, just make it easy. And the second part is really the streaming, getting the streaming cost as low as possible by reducing the bit rate. And this can be done in three ways. Basically, it's improved the codec so that you have the most optimized codecs. You also want to go to a VBR streaming, but in such a way that you have control and knowledge about your video quality so that it's not a black box. And the third one is moving to new codecs as AV1, VVC are alive. AV1, every device is almost supporting it. VVC, soon TVs and other devices will support it. And that can drastically get your streaming costs down. Now, the interesting part about streaming is traditional, when you have satellite, you stream it to everyone at the same time. So you decide, is it SD, HD, what codec it is, everybody gets the same thing. You want to do a change, you have to make sure all the end devices at the same time have that new codecs. With streaming, this is not the case. You can have multiple streaming formats and just go to the device that can do that. And if you have 30% of the streaming devices doing AVC, AV1 or VVC, it makes a huge difference already to do that. And in such a way, you can very quickly reduce your streaming costs.
Actually, if we talk of technology in terms of technology sense, I think AI tools will of course be or will of course play a significant role. But then uh, we being a very diverse country, there are remote areas, there are rural areas where devices may not be there, remote areas, users may not be there, volumes may not be there. So, and then technology, if we talk of technology, so LEO or MEO satellites to cover such areas will certainly are going to play uh, their its role. But then content, the quality of content is also a major concern, I think, because right now I think billions of hours are available, and you would may require maybe thousands of years to
Watch them.
watch them all. And the the content, the quality in terms of uh, picture quality and video quality, but in terms of the correctness of the facts, maybe they are fake or real. That's also going to be a challenge in future, because you don't know whether you are watching the correct uh, content or not when we talk of news or some stories, real stories or uh, so that kind of, I think there some something should of course happen with the help of Gen AI, or maybe uh, some other tools will come in future. Right now we are talking of agentic AI. Something else will come maybe 2 3 years later. So in this uh, distribution, basically in media content, broadband, and then telecommunications, everywhere the convergence is going to happen, and then artificial intelligence is also going to be part of the complete ecosystem. As far as India is concerned, the fiber connectivity in most of the populated areas is still a concern. Fiberization of tower is happening, though it is happening, but the way we are talking about 5G, it has not, I think, uh, proliferated. Even in Delhi, I find there are spots where you will find 5G is there, but I find that in the, I think, India Gate area, which is, I think, most pristine area of the country, we don't find 5G signal. And if you stop at a signal, and then again your this internet is like buffering. So those concerns, I don't know. And the real challenge again, we have no means that individual mobile subscribers can really go to their service providers, telcos, that see my data is not working at that signal at that point of time. There's no mechanism. I think it's not so possible also. But then the quality of service has really gone down very badly as far as the mobile services are concerned.
So when we talk about news specifically, the cost of content production on the production side is not going to go down. It's only going up, first of all. Now, what we're going to see in terms of technology is the ability for us to use Gen AI, like he mentioned, to be able to produce this content.
But that increases the risk of hallucinations, right?
No. So what we have today is something called a RAG. The RAG formats will only take content from within your pool of content that you give it and then produces out of it. It does not hallucinate anymore. Once you go out of the RAG, which means, let's say I have 15 pieces of content video, I have some text content, I have some photos, I have some audio. I can give my RAG only that content and say, just produce the content out of this. Do not step out of it. It would be able to do it. So I think the cost of post production is going to drop because of Gen AI. The cost of producing graphics is going to go down thanks to Gen AI. But the cost of production is going to continue staying very high. Now, that said, you talked about the Leo and the Mio, and he mentioned the Leo and the Mio. The Leo and Mio is going to be used for inaccessible areas for content creation, not for final content delivery from OTTs or networks, because that's a very expensive process to be able to use a Leo or a Mio for getting your content to watch. But for content creation, it's going to continue. For people who can pay, obviously, they will continue getting access to the internet and they will distribute that internet. So I think the potential is massive. The costs are not going to come down in any way or format. The only way the costs are going to come down is in the post production areas where we are going to leverage generative AI.
Okay, good. Last question, and then we'll break for any audience questions if we have. And Aditya, um, you know, you've launched a platform like Waves, but what we've seen that unlike pay TV, there's significant churn on digital platforms in the country. And we have more than 50 OTT platforms, maybe over 60 OTT platforms. The average number of OTT subscriptions that any consumer has or platforms they use is less than three. It's two and a half around. Um, for Waves to become one of the top three OTTs and therefore be there in every phone, what are some of the things you think are going to be very important in the future so that there's just reach of that platform and it's not, it goes to every Indian?
We have connected with the cohorts of CSC, E, their VLEs. They are just there to promote and our content and the application to the rural masses. And we have very unique way of content acquisition. I mean, we are partnering with the content creators. You will be surprised to know more than 90% of the content which we have onboarded is through RSM model only. So all those partners, I mean, they are targeting to make content for the masses, for the public service, and they are equal enablers for popularizing the platform so that everyone know what is the mandate of the platform. And then we have very unique value proposition in terms of the government e-publication. I mean, we have the educational content, we have the rich archive of the government publication, which no platform has and no platform can dare to have. I mean, this kind of content, this kind of documentaries, these kind of productions, which we are providing. So it is only the question of visibility. It is only the question of disseminating what we are having to the public. And we are definitely going to be among the first two or three platform in the country. And we have filled a very wide space in the OTT landscape where family viewing is, I mean, something which you cannot imagine with the kind of content which current OTTs are carrying forward. I mean, their motto and their algorithmic content-driven logics. I mean, they are just. I mean, somebody will target the uh, violent content. Somebody will target the sensuality on the platform. But we are targeting the values. We are targeting the Indian culture, and we are targeting a purposeful content which is delivered to the masses, and a creation of a family unit once again.
Thank you so much, everyone in the audience also. Please put your hands together. I think we had some fantastic discussion for a wonderful panel.
So looking at the numbers right now, a lot of transition is happening between cable to digital to we are talking about smart TVs and connected TVs. So I'll just keep it very open and let's not get into 10 minutes each and then we'll debate. Let's just keep it debateful. Try to visualize Arnab Goswami on the screen and try to argue it out to make it more fun. So what's your view of the transition? We are going through a major transition, right? Winsley, you got a huge business running on conventional cable, parallelly hits, broadband. How is the business structured and how is the transition happening? This is open for all of you, right? So we'll start with Winsley and then we'll take it forward.
Sure. The stage of digital transformation or transformance is over. If companies haven't caught the bus or haven't made the digital transformation, nothing's going to happen going forward. That bus is that ship has sailed. Companies have to look at now moving into digital evolution. So if you look at cable companies, the first transition was obviously towards um, satellite connectivity, right? I'm talking about when DTH came after cable. We in the early years looked at the fact that how do you reach underserved and underconnected India? The only way to reach underserved and underconnected India, considering we're such a big nation of Bharat, was to ensure that we put in a satellite service, which is the head end in the sky. Thereafter, of course, we've realized that consumers, and let's make it clear that consumers drive transformation. Consumers were moving more and more to connected devices. This happened well before lockdown, actually. I think lockdown during COVID just spurred that on. And it was important to make that transformation and evolution and move towards connected homes, right? So broadband became a big driver.
Yeah.
You'll see broadband, connectivity becoming a more ubiquitous solution and service, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is where the numbers, it's not numbers that fall off the bottom of the business, Pankaj. It's numbers that move from one segment to
To
another.
another. The industry keeps growing.
Absolutely. I think you look at the numbers that we expected to touch about 300 million easily households at
Yes.
some point in time. There's still 100 million homes which are underserved, underconnected in India, in far eastern regions, far northeastern regions of the country, etc. And I think you're going to see that kind of transition happening. I keep on telling people it is not a loss of business, it's a transition of business, a transition from one segment
To
to
another.
another segment as digital evolution happens. No, Ajay, if you agree with that, or Ajay is going to probably say, "Nah, this guy talks too much."
Yeah, no.
Right?
So, if you really ask me, so let me first take you, it's always better when you talk about future, it's always better to understand where we were, couple of, say, around 4 or 5 or 6 years back, when this whole journey of digitization started in cable. Okay. Because cable was also analog at one point of time.
Yeah.
It was not digitized.
The 106 channel bandwidth.
Correct. So it all started in 2012. And at that point of time, digitization was the way forward for cable, DTH, cable and DTH had just came in. And obviously, we started our journey. If all of us were there, okay, sitting at that MIB room, and where we were asked, आज आपने कितना डब्बा डाला? आज आपने कितना डब्बा डाला? So you used to say, आज हमने यहाँ 10 लाख डाला, यहाँ पे 20 लाख डाला. So, and all the investment, just to remind everybody, every single penny was invested by us. There
Yeah.
was no government subsidy or anything made available to us
Yeah.
for digitizing the whole country. And we did it. Okay. And kudos to all the, delivery platforms. Okay. They did it. The country got digitized in 2017. Okay. However, the ills of the sector continued. Okay. What was the ills of the sector? Ills of the sector was that there was pricing was one of the challenges that we used to face. Okay. And the subscriber was not able to watch what he always wanted to watch. Content was thrust on it in the form of channels. Okay. And so the regulator very rightly thought so that, let's come out with a regulation which is for the
So
consumer.
sorry to cut you, but I missed the part. So how was the content thrust on a consumer in
By
the transition
bundling.
from
By
analog
bundling.
to
Bundling.
the bundling?
Bundling.
Okay,
By
yeah, okay, fair
bundling.
enough.
By
Yeah.
bundling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the regulator in 2017 thought so that why don't we come out with a regulation? Regulation was also, it was already there previously, but it was not attuned to what was happening on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the regulator thought of coming out with a regulation which will enable the subscriber to pay for what he watches, and he should watch only what he wants to watch.
Yeah.
Not something should be thrust on it. Regulation came it. It was
Which
a
was the
wonderful
NTO to a great extent.
NTO 1.
NTO 1.
NTO 1. We call it New Tariff Order 1.
1.
Okay. And it was a very fantastic regulation. Okay. I have this view. Many may not agree with you. If you see MSO like us is still surviving, it was primarily due to the New Tariff Order
Yeah.
1. Okay.
Correct.
Otherwise, we would have in history by now.
So it's a very polarizing topic to a great extent, since I've
Correct.
seen we worked with Try also at that point in time,
Correct.
and we did a lot of dipsticks in terms of consumer understanding on the implementation of NTO. But to be honest, there are both sides. There are two sides of this coin of NTO. People have an opinion, but NTO
No.
one, please
So I'm
carry on.
saying, so I will come back to that, the opinion that you're talking here. See, NTO 1 was fantastic, but somehow it got challenged. A lot of things changed. But after NTO 1, the changes that happened, and we are into 2025, we are talking about NTO 4.0.
Yeah.
Every NTO thereafter increased the prices for the consumer.
Yes.
The capping, the price cap increased, the bundling power to the broadcasters increased.
Yeah.
As a result of which, what was intended at that point of time
Yeah.
by the regulator in 2017 literally never saw the light of the day.
Yeah. So the view that I was referring to, Ajay, at that point was the intent was always right,
Right.
but there were major gaps in implementation. One of which, from a consumer point of view, is when you surf the channels, you reach a channel, and then you would have to surf through. You're not subscribed. You're not subscribed. You're not subscribed to reach the next channel. So there's a little bit of dissonance with consumers at that point in time.
Correct. However, if you look at where we find ourselves today, so if you look at the broadcasting sector, we are on an inflection point, I call it.
Yes.
Either we go up from here or we are bound to fail. So what is there that is going to change for us? Okay. Obviously, we are still there. We are still trying to hold on to the consumer.
Yeah.
Okay. So from a distribution industry point of view, what we feel is that the right kind of content. So here content also becomes a very important part. And in our earlier session that was happening, okay, we all spoke about how content, people are moving towards the right kind of content. So important is, and in one of our discussion with one of the MIB joint secretaries that I was having, he said, Ajay ji, आपने कभी सोचा है कि अब आप टीवी पे क्या देखेंगे? Okay, so which again gives take us to the moot point, whether the content which is available on the linear TV, okay, as on date, whether that is the content that the people really want to see. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you are able to address this key point as of today, I think that should be the first step in ensuring that at this point where the numbers are going down, it is a challenge in light of the OTTs, free dish, connected TV, fast TV, which are there. Okay, that is one area that we definitely need to look into. We need to set across. And another important point, and which Anilji, since he has now worked on both sides of the coin, he will be able to supplement that. From the very beginning, there has been a trust issue.
Yes.
In this various stakeholders in this industry.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's very important that this is the opportune time where this trust needs to be built.
Absolutely.
Okay? We need to work together. It's not about you versus me anymore. Because if I survive, you survive. It's not about that you are going to survive if I don't survive. Okay. So that is, the moot point that I've here.
The same holds for the research business as well. So we survive with you.
Yeah.
Before I move to Anil, I will move to Anilji, but I'll come back to you on the inflection, Ajay ji. You spoke well on the trust factor on the industries. One thing that continues to be a bane, again, two sides to a coin, is the carriage fee business, right? We'll spend 2, 3 minutes on that. I don't know how relevant it is in today's scenario, but a lot of broadcasters we speak to, a lot of platforms we speak to, still talk about the carriage business. So I'll come back to that, but you can put your thoughts together. Anilji, your business on the dependencies, now you're on the broadcasting side, on conventional TV, conventional cable and satellite broadcast versus OTT. How important are you in the system now? You're heading cable and satellite. Are the digital guys given more time by Subhashji, or you all are equally important?
Before we touch upon that, my friends have just said that both, all three of you were of the opinion that digitization is complete, right? That's what we are talking about. I don't think it is, for two reasons. The source from where you are capturing audio and video remains analog at the camera end, and the delivery and the output of the set-top box you have goes into TV, which is still in analog. We as humans have eyes and ears, so we are analog. Till the time a neural link chipset is installed here and I'm able to take the digital signals directly, uh, till the time we are going to remain analog in nature. So what has changed? DTH was always called so-called digital. The transmission was digital. So what has changed from source to end? Transmission from analog went to digital. So what were the reasons for it? Probably government wanted that 700 megahertz spectrum we were occupying at that point of time because we were delivering 862, which was needed for 5G rollout, etc., etc. And addressability, yes, of course, because pay channels were the concern that how do you pay for pay channels if there is no addressability. So the reason these 2012 regulations were brought in. And I think one has succeeded, that 700 megahertz is now occupied by my friends. So coming from that point of view, that part of digitization has brought in one problem in our lives. What is that? A set-top box.
Yeah.
Because TVs were analog in nature, you had an alien device sitting on a set-top box, on a TV top, which was called set-top box, which will convert your digital signal back to analog TV. So one change is happening, that BIS has mandated that all the new TV sets will have a TV tuner, which will be digital. And today we have Samsung, where GTPL, Dish TV have no need of set-top box. They can give their inputs directly to TV, and which would be probably 5, 6 years down the line. We will not have any set-top box in our lives.
Yeah.
Connected TVs are already there, so broadband is already reaching to them directly. Now this created another problem, because set-top box was a capex requirement. Digital headend was a capex requirement. So smaller operators got out of business because they could not invest in all these processes.
Yeah.
So from 3,000 or some 4,000 networks, we are down to now less than 500, 600 networks which are operating in the country.
Unique MSOs.
Yeah. So one side, upgradation has happened. Addressability has brought in upgradation. Consolidation has happened. Our friends are doing that all across. And elimination has happened. The guys who could not afford to spend money got eliminated out of the system. So these things have happened in the past. So if you look the regulations which were brought in, I can say that I was also part of the DPO earlier, and I've seen all that happening in front of our eyes. We used to bring one problem, a quick fix solution will come. TRI will float a consultation. Somebody will go to court. We always jump to go to court for anything which doesn't suit us. So even if the regulation was fair and it did not suit me, we went to courts. Result was that most of the regulations which were brought in to reform the industries were either stayed or went into controversy. But what will try do? They ultimately came out with NTO, that was again challenged. They came out with register of interconnect, that show me what are you collecting in carriage, which you mentioned. It was again stayed. Nobody wanted to be transparent in this business model.
Yeah.
So actually, that has resulted in the problems we are in. I come from now broadcaster side, and when I talk to DPO, I don't understand what they want from us. So last time I was discussing with my friends, he said, what are you wanting from us? What do you want from broadcasters? The question was, don't raise the prices. I said, when I started my career way back in 91, 92 as a cable operator, we used to charge 300 rupees to the customer because at that point of time, competition was with video libraries who would charge 10 rupees per cassette per day to give you one single channel, one picture. Yeah. So what are you charging now? We are charging 350. Array or 300, less than 300 also in some markets. Yeah. So where has the prices increased? So prices have not increased. Yeah. We have not been able to collect from the customers the right price because a new phenomena came in when the capacity was less, which was carriage. Yeah. So the entire business model has gone to pay channel price versus carriage and then a simulated price which you charge to the customer. Yeah. Which is the bane of the real issues. Yeah. In fact, we were talking before that when we were sitting together that what if all pay channels go free? What is the model of DPO? Then there will be only one free dish in the country. Yeah. Because they are free. They are not encrypted, they are free. So that will be the only model left. Yeah. So DPO model is basis the revenue share they get out of the payment they receive for pay channels. Right? Because if NCF was the game forward, then DD free dish will not be free. Yes. They would be charging. Yes. So I'm sure my friends will not agree with my views. I have a different view on this. So probably like when digitization is complete, when I say when all the TVs have a digital tuner in, and the QoS, quality of service, is the main thing which is in our lives than the capex funding that I can push in so many boxes. I can give boxes free, the others can't do, and then take control of the market, which is the real cause of the problem today. Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
Anilji, I think you put it very rightly. One biggest deterrent to growth is installation of an additional alien hardware. But coming back to what you've also raised, the bane being carriage. Now, to put it very loosely, the transition from those 106 channels, color band, semi-color band,
S-band,
hyper,
yeah.
S-band, we still remember that, right? So the transition from analog to digital, primarily the objective was to get a customer to watch what they wanted to watch, right? And so there is a broadcaster or a publisher and there is a consumer, and there is no deficit in demand and supply. Ideal case scenario. And every time there's a deficit in demand and supply, then phenomena like carriage fees kick in. But that really didn't happen when we moved to digital, right? So again, it went into bundling and a great amount of carriage fees, which continues to happen till date. Uh, Today, if you look at OTT, or if you look at CTVs, to a great extent, CTV today as well, you've got multiple channels, you've got fast, but to be the first channel available when a consumer hits you, I don't know what the term is called, it's still called a carriage to a great extent, but you can still pay off an OEM and be the first channel on fast now, right?
Channel you call it.
Landing channel.
Landing channel.
Right.
Yeah.
So landing again gets into a little controversy with a lot of authorities. So I was avoiding the term, but anyway, you brought it up, I did it. But that's okay. So what's your view on the carriage thing? The deficit in demand and supply. More suppliers. Are we a hugely competitive industry? Right, with 300 news channels, with 1,000 plus channels beaming, vying for the same space. So again, the topic very loosely on carriage, the deterrent to the industry.
Just before Ajay talks on carriage, Anilji has been on the other side of the spectrum. I have a very fundamental point on this, on the whole aspect of transparency, right? Very, very, very fundamental. If transparency is an acceptable currency across all media platforms, and I refer to the broadcasters, are broadcasters open to creating sachet packaging?
Anilji, batao.
Right? I mean, today, I'm just telling you, today when I have platforms when I have customers in Tamil Nadu, I can't force North India,
Content.
India Northeastern content on them.
Yeah.
Similarly, I can't force Telugu content on my customers in Punjab. If transparency is this wonderful term that we're talking about, and I'm a big, believer, and let me tell you, Try has did a fantastic job, and it's all of us in the industry, in the ecosystem. And I'm quite blunt with my words because at this stage,
You don't have much left
maximum
to
I don't
lose.
have much left, right? So I'm quite blunt. But Try did a fantastic job. But I think the ecosystem failed the regulator. The ecosystem failed each other by not reaching a decisive point and saying, yes, let's go for transparency and let's create sachet packaging. If you had sachet packaging and pricing, then even pricing becomes transparent for the Northeast customer. Tamil Nadu customer will pay only for the Tamil and maybe the four South language channels that he wants. Correct? The
Correct.
Northeast
And
customers, right? But
just
Sorry,
just to
Vinsley, that
yeah.
doesn't answer the
no,
carriage
but
topic.
But
I will come to
therefore,
carriage.
Transparency is
no,
important.
so
Consumer.
so it mutes the carriage. So today, why is carriage there? Carriage is there because today the cost of recovery, right? The return on capital employed or the return on investment, um,
There's a gap.
there,
So you need
exactly.
that carriage to
There you
offset
go.
that gap.
There you go. The gap has to be offset because today we've moved from a fantastic model, and I still repeat this because I was a great proponent of NTO when the try set it up. I was very happy to be on that press conference that was there, and the vision was very clear. How do we bring in transparency? And transparency should have aided. You would have had a much more muted approach to
Yeah.
carriage, right? Well,
So yeah. So before I go into this carriage aspect,
So my question, Ajay,
Yeah.
is twofold. One, the bane of growth being carriage, where there is a supply demand in gap in demand and supply, and two, as Winsley rightly put it, obviously you need to offset investments and
Exactly.
capital costs.
Significant investments.
But how do we offset this bane? I mean, what's your view on carriage?
see, so before I again say, before I came to carriage, because a lot of people won't understand what he was saying
You can
about
clarify that.
Sachet, right.
sachet packing. Like today, what a DPO is required to do is there is a bouquet which is being declared by the broadcaster. A bouquet may contain 30 channel, 20 channel, 10 channel. The problem is not with the bouquet. The problem is that bouquet contains all languages. So say for example, it will have a channel in Bengali, it will have a channel in Marathi, Gujarati, okay, these kind of packages. And the provision of law requires me as a DPO to carry that bundle as it is. I can't modify that channel.
Which is a complete spillover for a
Exactly.
different language and a different.
Correct.
So
So
who's
say
to blame, the broadcaster or the authorities?
I don't
so,
know.
so,
One
so, so
sec.
that is,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
authorities have taken note of it, and thankfully, TRI is going to come out with a consultative process whereby they are calling it a holistic consultation process. And my request is, some of the TRI authorities are here. Let it be a real holistic consultation paper.
Yeah.
Don't make
Yeah.
a tweak here and there.
Yeah.
Any tweak here and there is
Was
not going to help. We have made the representation to TRI. Broadcasters have also made representation to TRI. Let it be a holistic consultation. Let it not be a tweak
Yeah.
consultation.
Ajay,
Yeah.
to Ajay's point
Yeah.
again, you asked, so is Try responsible for the? No, I think not. I think I know the regulator as well as the statutory authorities like the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. They've always been pro-industry, right? It is us as the ecosystem, as the private sector, and I have no qualms again, right? I mean, what's the worst? I'll lose my job and I won't get a job with any of the other companies. But as an industry, as DPOs, broadcasters, platforms, we've never really come together and agreed on
Yeah.
it, right? We've always had to go back to the regulator, had to go back to the ministry and say, listen, can you play referee or can you play because we can't see eye to eye? I mean,
Yeah.
Ajay, this is the reality of it, right? So that's the challenge.
Yeah, but I
Pankaj.
think it's a no-brainer. The intent of any regulation is always to do good.
Yeah.
Where we fail is in the implementation. Right?
True.
So cops
True.
wouldn't exist if there are no thieves,
Exactly.
right? But they all go hand in hand. That's the bane of life. Anilji wanted to revert to what Ajay said, and he seemed in disagreement of what Ajay said. So he was whispering in me, saying that I will
I
answer this.
think we are confused here. For why? There is only one platform which charges carriage, and that is DD Free Dish. That is in forbearance,
Yeah.
and that is through our nose. They charge the money. I fail to understand as a government body why you are restricting supply to 75 channels. You own the satellites as a government. You can carry as many number of channels on MPEG 2. You can increase the capacity 4 times, 5 times. What stops you? Why you are limiting supply to 75 channels only, while mandating your 28 channels should be carried by all the platforms? I want that to a free of cost. But if I, as a broadcaster, want to be carried on you free of cost, you say you pay a bomb through your nose.
It's an
Most of the news channels business model has gone.
Sorry, just to make this
Out
interesting,
of-
it runs into what, 10 crores, 12 crores?
No, it is as good as 20 crore.
Which is more than the top line of
Yeah,
any
that's
small channel.
that's
yeah.
the
2000
government
crore
mandate.
is the money that they made.
On top of if my friends will permit me
Sorry,
to
Anil, one second.
5
2,000
minutes
crores
to
is the
speak,
total top line
I'll
of
lose
carriage
my
connection.
I
For
lose my concentration.
Doordarshan.
The Duration is there. We have raised this to minister also. When we had our meeting as NBDA to the honorable minister, we said, sir, what is this? If this is such a popular platform, why you are restricting it to 75 channels and denying others who can't afford? Make the capacity 300. A big problem is because you want to increase capacity on MPEG 2, MPEG 4, which nobody wants. And if there is a demand on MPEG 2, please increase that capacity. So that's one part. Show me one single agreement a DPO has signed for carriage with any broadcaster. They are not talking carriage, they are talking marketing and placement, which they charge through the nose to the broadcasters to carry their channels to all the broadcasters. My friend wrongly said we don't have a sachet bouquet. We have. A la carte is a mandate. Have you created any channel on a la carte based choices from all the broadcasters and done that, seeded that to the customer? No. Why? Now that's $1 million question. Why? I come from a DPO side. A typical DPO putting, if we were to compensate carriage with content, would be paying 75 to 80 rupees to all the broadcasters. My friend Ajay is a chairman of a company who probably would be paying 50, 60 rupees only. Whatever they are charging to the customer is separate thing. If their books are scrutinized, which register of interconnect could do, which never happened, they would be paying this kind of money to all the broadcasters, right? Because when they go and compete and swap each other's boxes, they do so for 100 rupees a month along with a free box. That's the business model. So I didn't want to expose all the underbelly of the business, which would be hurting to my friends. That's the reality. What we are talking, there is a mandate of carriage, 20 paisa per channel, per subscriber, per month. Have you signed any contract? Show me one. Because you will sign that contract, carry that channel, but ensure that nobody
So,
gets it.
Anilji, uska, I think Winsley already raised it, that there is a capital cost which some way or the other
No, let me
is
answer that.
under. I'll come to you as well,
So,
but
so you are right. You are right. There's a capital
there is
cost
a
of
capital
funding the
cost
set-top
which
box.
everyone.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because they are able to fund the set-top box. So I am saying the transition of digitization and fruit of digitization will be available when TV sets have a digital tuner. You are dependent on quality of service. There is enough competition in the market to make sure that you don't overcharge the customer, and customer also has the right to choose the subscriber. Today,
right.
what is happening? If you are not able to fund the box, you are going out of business. How many companies are surviving except few who are able to do this?
Yeah. So, but no, the right now the competition is not within cable to cable. Now the customer is moving out. They're moving out to becoming cord cutters, and without the need of a box or anything, and you get free access to all the content that you're getting on cable. So if I buy a smart TV, logically now again I give this example everywhere. Every is my mum. So she has a set-top box, and she has the set-top box because she's just old and she's used to that remote. That's the only reason. But there is nothing that she gets in that box which she does not get without the box, because she's got a smart TV with all the applications,
That's
right?
another problem we
Yeah,
have,
but
that connected TVs or the fast channels which are coming without regulation in our
yeah, there are a
lives.
lot of
That's another problem.
that's a big challenge.
Which I think government should take
Yeah.
note of, that you want us to carry as a platform.
No, so there's a
all
lot
the
of
permitted
content on
channels.
fast which is not allowed, which is even
Pankaj,
during this Operation
yeah.
Sindoor, there is a lot of content which you are trying to work with the
Right.
government to try and control that.
But Pankaj,
That's a separate. Yeah.
that what Anil said actually is the sore point for our industry. The unregulated channels, which are through fast or through certain other
They're killing the
OTT,
cable and
that is
satellite because
killing the
there's you've
business.
got two
Exactly.
sides, which is
Correct.
one is regulated
Yeah.
and one is not.
Yeah.
I remember if you go back a decade, On Netflix, it was Sacred Games, which started off with Saif. And my gym instructor, when we were working out, he said, वो देखा है, that show, उसमें तो गाली दिया, MCBC, ABC, whatever. And that became the reason which triggered a lot of people to watch something that was not available on cable and satellite. And you're right, it's not a level playing field because you've got OTT, which is completely unregulated, and you've got cable and satellite, which has to follow all kinds of rules. As a result of which, before you respond to him, Ajay, I'll come to you. As a result of which, the subscriber establishment surveys that we have, some 5 years back, 2019, you're at 206 million cable and satellite homes, coming down to 188, 179, 172, 169. Last year we measured them at 159 million cable and satellite homes,
Including free dishes.
including free dish, which continues to be the leader at some 50 million homes. We work with them as well. Uh, I mean, you've raised a very valid point. Why only 75 channels, each paying some 20, 25 crores? You can have a view on that. But before that, you want to say something in your defense, which accused you of what I don't know.
It's one challenge with your number is that we all keep saying Doordarshan is around, the free dish is around 45 to 50 million. But I always, who measures this?
No, so
I
I'll tell you.
still,
No. So I will defend myself on this one before you defend yourself against him. So we do the subscriber establishment service, which is about 1 million touch points every quarter. And from where the numbers do get validated to a great extent, there could be a variance of 5% plus or minus. Your numbers, as per the subscriber establishment survey,
111,
come to about active box.
111,
I'm sorry,
111.
million,
which is
excluding free dish.
no. I'm talking about GTPL Hathway.
Oh, that's right.
That's about 10 and 5, about
Correct,
16 million.
correct.
And the same survey says free dishes are about 50 million homes, which obviously creates a huge demand for the kind of carriage that they're paying.
So
You may continue.
out of the TV homes in the country, whatever is not having C&S is having free dish. That is the assumption basis that these numbers float. Because this is not an addressable system, you can't count the numbers. The only way to count is count the number of TV holes as per census figures, reduce the C&S, and that's the number free dish has. Because whether the TV is having any dish, DTH, any box or not, you count it as one.
Correct.
That is the assumption that people having TV sets are not having a C&S connection, but probably they are either watching it through antenna or free dish. On that assumption, those numbers
Antenna,
are
free dish, or through maybe a mobile hotspot if it's a
one.
connected TV.
That's another thing
That's
that
another big.
there was a mandate that if you are not encrypting your channels under Section 4 of Cable Act, it was a criminal
Criminal
offense.
offense.
Correct.
And
That is
500 meters away from Parliament, DD was beaming all the channels unencrypted. That's another story.
that I agree with it completely.
No. So
I hope Navneet Segalji was here to answer a lot of your questions, or I hope I'm glad he's not here. I don't know. Either way, but it's a fair point. Ajayji, we
So
continue.
coming back to this whole carriage, yes, you're absolutely right. We are not signing any carriage agreement. Okay.
By the way, if you're getting those content
Correct.
deals, what Anil said, I'd like to.
No, we'll
Yeah,
chat.
because there is a vested because
Anil,
Anil might
I
be
don't know. No. I don't know which content deal he's
might
talking about.
be missing out on the windfall.
I come from the other side, so I know all the undercurrents and all the underdeals. So don't worry, I'm giving you the
There you go.
factual figures.
No.
And the
Okay.
bottom line is, if you're paying him, then you need to tell him.
Absolutely.
So then it's unfair. Yeah, sorry, Ajay,
No.
please.
So obviously, carriage is not being done, and he's right. It is in the form of placement or a marketing. But only one question to my broadcaster friend now, because from DPTPO, everybody wants to be number one channel. Okay, if it's GEC, everybody wants to be number one, to be placed
But
at number one.
no, you're mistaken. I disagree. In GEC, they want to be number one.
Yeah.
In news, everyone is number one. You get that breaking news every day, right? And it's gone to an extent that you've got these slides that go through number one, number one, number one. You have the three anchors in a Bollywood style standing there.
And my
Everyone is
friend-
number one. I'm very offended about the fact that they're all number one.
And our friend can rightly claim they are all number one in all the genres now because they own the maximum broadcasters.
Yeah, everyone gets a unique day part. So if you go by the runs of Bach,
Correct.
at 12 to 1 midnight, males 15 to 44, we were number one. Socioeconomic class AB, right?
No. So
yeah.
so that is how this whole placement and marketing started. Okay, because we can't place everybody at GEC number one, or in entertain in movies number one. So obviously, however, we are still open to, and we have made this proposal to the regulator also. We want to go by the model of Reddish. We really like that model. Let there be an auction. No? We will also do the auction. We will do the auction. Let the broadcaster come and bid for. I will have a GEC auction. I will have a movie channel auction. I will do that auction. Let them pay. If they don't, if they are willing to pay 20 crores to DD Free Dish, what stops them from paying it to me? So we are, we as a DPO are very much open to doing auctions for all these slots. And let it be, and then you would not have any problem. Where is the register of interconnect? Who is paying what? Everything is transparent. Let there be a transparent system of auctioning. You come, you pay, you take the channels, you take
Yeah,
the slots.
it should be a level playing field for
Level
both. So
playing,
if
yeah.
Fredish is got a
I
carriage model,
I
so
see
should you.
regulator is also present here, and they would be wondering what the mess we have got into. They want to get out of our business because what we can't do across the table. So what is happening in our industry
Absolutely,
is
which
what
is good.
doesn't suit me, I go to for that relief to the broadcast to that regulator. And if he sees that okay, for the balance of power in everybody's favor, including consumers, X regulations to come, we don't agree with it and go and challenge it. That has been happening all across. And I think the most frustrated in our industry would be regulator what to do with these guys. They don't agree on anything.
Yeah.
Consultation papers happen, we comment. And on top of that, we sit across the table and do the same business again and again, year on year. But we go and complain to the regulator. So, like, until unless we start addressing the real problems, you can't go on treating the symptoms. What we are looking from regulator is treatment of symptoms. While the real malaise is customer has to make a choice. He has to pay. You should not force bundle your DPO package to all the customers.
Correct.
Why you are showing 90%, 95% penetration of bouquet and not a la carte? That is what industry has to set right. It will not happen through regulator. Believe you me. We can continue another 20 years with the regulator. After 10 years also, we will be sitting on the same situation. Like from 2004, regulator is trying to do his best. In fact, they have done, I think, a human service to the industry by being intervener when it was going out of hand.
Yeah.
So, of course, most of the DPOs are surviving because of must carry. Most of the broadcasters are also surviving because of must provide and must
Provide,
carry
yeah.
clauses. These are the sacrosanct thing, and after that, I think regulator should get out of our business, and we should do business across the table rather than putting everything on blame that this should be the LCN, this should be X, Y, Z. Nothing is happening on digital side. We are not crying on digital. All the digital deals are happening. All the platforms are carrying content. Business is happening as usual.
Yeah.
So overloading broadcasters with small issues and micromanaging our business is not going to help the industry. Probably a light feather touch regulation of must carry, must provide with forbearance is the way forward.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I don't know the name of the lady hosting this session, but thank you to everyone.
The topic is about AI versus creativity. I believe there is no AI versus creativity. There is no versus. It should be primarily be about AI is going to only facilitate creativity. That's something I'm going to propose, and I'm sure my people will, the other panelists on stage will oppose. I'm hoping they'll oppose, so we have some debate. Um, there are some repetitive tasks which can be done using AI, and those should be done using AI because they reduce the time, they speed up all the processes. Human intervention is nonetheless needed for these because you've got to give the right prompt. You've got to after that once the result is delivered, you've got to check whether the result is right enough. So human intervention is definitely needed. You understand? You are concerned about what we're going to be talking about. So you all guys have created a. I'll begin with Harshvardhan. You all guys have created Clear AI. Tell us a little more about it and what is it being used for? You've had some 300,000 different transactions being done on it, and you've got lots of customers on it. So what is Clear AI all about, and what are you using it for?
So we started this journey at Prime Focus with Clear AI as one of our platforms that embraces the heart of what is being done in the content pipeline. And the goal was uh, to be the first company sort of to having worked in the entertainment industry for so long, and we have had so many other platforms being brought for the different content producers, content creators. We thought that if we invest early in this area, then how can we make lives better? And that's where Clear AI was born. So it started with 7 years back, 7, 8 years back, when people were not even talking about AI in the space that we are right now. The platform essentially helps the entire content supply chain journey for broadcasters, for OTTs, for streamers, for content productions, and different content creators, whether it's social, digital, marketing, post production, all sorts of areas in whatever touch and feel it can give in their everyday lives to bring productivity, to bring scalability, to bring more creativity, to either avoid repetitive tasks, to become a co pilot in their journey, to become somebody who can then be a AI assistant, not the director, because the humans are still the director of that journey. And then how do you deal with these AI aspects ethically? And that's where all of these has started.
So tell us some of the tasks which are being done using that. Apart from transferring advertising, TV commercials, what else? What are the tasks which are being put to use on this platform?
Yeah. So I think we have reached a stage where for multiple sports customers, multiple entertainment GEC channels, multiple of drama channels, or even otherwise the new era of content creators who are independent production houses and people like them who are coming up with a lot of content. How do they scale? Now, the everyday tasks that are being scaled up is everything that you can imagine in the content supply chain in a broadcast operations area are being put to use. We using our AI technologies, whether it's starting with content tagging, which is a repetitive task where somebody has to go and mark up a black bar, tones, all of these kind of things. Whether it's areas where somebody is doing an ad marker to find out where the ad spots are, that's another repetitive task. It's things like where you're doing SNP and compliance tasks, where you're doing localization pipelines using an AI dubbing or a traditional dubbing. How can you influence those journeys? How can you influence the text journeys? And even to the extent where we are automating all sorts of different highlights for sports producers. Like you finish the match earlier, people used to tag the match and finish the highlights. Today, those jobs can simply be done at a large scale using AI and some of our tech. Yeah.
Yeah, and your partners are loving it.
Absolutely. So that's where those 500,000 hours of content have already been done. We are working with people in Europe, like broadcasters like ITV, Channel 4, a lot of such kind of customers. We are working with sports broadcasters across the globe, the likes of, motorsport, bigger basketball leagues, a lot of cricket leagues. They have been long-standing customers, but they are all embracing AI as their partner to monetize their archives because they have huge archives which absolutely cannot be tagged and then created and mined without using an AI, because it would take humans probably about 70 years, 50 years to even tag that content to get anywhere they want to get to. So the customers are absolutely loving it.
Fantastic. So I'll go on to the other extreme. And have you been, as a producer, you bring some great content across for private channels and also for the state-owned broadcaster. So what are you using AI for within your own within your own production house?
Um, um, I think AI currently is still extremely new to us as content creators, um, but we are seeing its applications increasing from show on show and from every piece of content that we make. Um, Currently, I think largely what we've been able to use it for is, and it's going to impact, like I think Harsh was just talking about, it's going to impact each and every aspect of not only content creation, it's going to impact each and every aspect of any industry. Right. Now, let's talk about content for the time being. So we have pre-production, which is हम कहानी बनाते हैं. तो कहानी बनाते वक्त हमें एक कहानी लिखनी पड़ती है, उसका एक आइडिया सोचना पड़ता है। जब हम एक कहानी बनाते हैं तो एआई आज हमें उसके लिए असिस्ट कर सकता है। थॉट हमसे आता है, पर वो उसको एनहांस कर सकता है। उसको अगर 2 लोगों के बीच कन्वर्सेशन है तो क्या हो सकता है, कैसे हो सकता है? हम बोलेंगे इसमें इमोशन डालो, ये डालो, वो डालो। वो currently we are using OpenAI, which is things like ChatGPT. So that is one aspect of the pre-production that it's impacting. Like that, it's going to impact right from that to scheduling to production to post-production, every aspect. But largely, we are using it a lot in visual effects. बिकॉज़ अभी हमारा जो नया शो लॉन्च हुआ है पृथ्वीराज चौहान, उसमें जो हमारे सारे वॉर सीक्वेंसेस हैं, जो हमारे सारे बड़े-बड़े यू नो एस्टैब्लिशिंग शॉट्स हैं, वो सब हमने एआई में क्रिएट किए हैं। और वो दैट वुड हैव टेकन मैन डेज़ एंड वेरी एक्सपेंसिव टू डू विद द काइंड ऑफ डिटेलिंग दैट lots of AI tools are being able to do. So what I clearly can see is that there is going to be a big impact on using AI tools for the complete production pipeline from top to bottom to begin with. But then it's actually going to impact each and everybody who is, I don't think that, AI is going to replace human jobs, but people who do not know AI will be replaced by people who know AI.
Okay. So Prithviraj Chavan is running on Sony. This
Correct.
is a plug for you. So after this, you got to buy me dinner.
Yeah.
It's a plug. Please watch Prithviraj Chavan on Sony. He's producing it. Okay. Coming down to Rahul. What are you using? You produce some documentaries. You work for Discovery. You work for basically the factual channels. A lot of them. So what are you using AI for within your own production house?
Well, uh, the first time I heard of AI was a
Can you
couple,
go closer to the mic?
was a couple of
Hold the mic.
years. Yeah, that's fine. Was a couple of years back, where at that time I was in the news world, which I still am partly. So somebody came up and said that for media asset management, we've got this fantastic tool where you just play the clip, and if it's a known face, the AI will recognize the face and it will transcribe the whole thing, which normally in the news channels we used to have people sitting and watching and typing and putting markers and stuff like that. So that was the first time I saw the use of AI. I was quite fascinated. Uh, from there, I mean, coming back to the creative side, uh, we did a 3-part series for Discovery called Ramayan, The Legends of Ramayan, where we used the traditional sort of animations in between wherever required. Post that, recently we did The Legends of Shiva. And Legends of Shiva, we used all the Shiva graphics on the, this thing was completely done by AI. It was definitely far better looking, no doubts about it. But the other side of it was that I think AI is going to develop much more. So, when you create one scene and then you want to redo the scene, it doesn't always give you the same result back. So, you've got one scene which is very nice, and then you sit down and say, "Achha, isko thoda sa redo kar dete hain," and then you'll find some artifacts coming in and things like that. So that is where we've been using AI as of now. And I definitely think that, I mean, a lot of news channels have started using AI for their graphics, etc. During the war. A lot of that was used. But
Did they use it right? It didn't look like they used it right because we had a lot of mess going around on news channels.
it'll happen.
Okay.
It'll happen.
Yeah. Manu, you wanted to say something? Was you
So
leaning forward?
I think Rahul's made a point that right now, at least the tools that we are working on have limitations. पर मशीन सीख रही है। जब वो सीखेगी तो वो और स्मार्ट बनेगी
Correct.
और एक टाइम ऐसा आएगा जो वो विल बी वेरी वेरी इवॉल्व्ड in how the how artificial intelligence is able to assist us and complement us. See, AI is, we shouldn't fear AI. It's a technology that is, if it computer came and it simplified our lives, AI is coming and simplifying it further, right? So if you don't, अगर आपको कंप्यूटर नहीं आता तो कहीं ना कहीं आप पीछे छूट जाते हो।
See.
उसी तरीके से आज के दिन अगर आपको एआई नहीं आता तो आप कहीं ना कहीं पीछे छूट जाओगे। तो इट्स एवरीवन हैज टू अपस्केल, हैज टू रीलर्न, learn more. And it's what is interesting is that it's only the tip of the iceberg right now that's visible to us. It's a huge amount of enabling that it can do, AI can do. And I think that is what we should be working towards as to how does India get onto the roadmap of creating world-class content using AI and actually being a front runner in actually creating a lot of the AI tools to be able to enable cinema, television, OTT, creating content, and delivering content.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you a very philosophical question. You're a creative person, you're a creator, you're a producer. So, can AI truly be creative? Or is it just mixing and remixing what already exists because it looks at all the data available on which it works?
So,
Now,
see,
is creativity a human trait? Is it uniquely a human trait, or can it be replaced by algorithms?
so see, let's divide
Yeah.
the question into two. One is that AI is actually artificial intelligence is coming out of a machine. That machine has learned something, right? So it's limited to that learning. The human brain is unlimited, right? Imagination is unlimited. So obviously, the human mind will always be ahead of the curve, right? But having said that, ऐसा नहीं है कि एआई क्रिएटिव नहीं हो सकता। वो आपको अगर अगर मैं कहता हूँ कि मेरा एक सीक्वेंस है, जैसे कि एक इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो रहा है और उस इन्वेस्टिगेशन के दौरान एक इन्वेस्टिगेटर आप मेरे को 3 तरीके दो कि एक खून हुआ है, उसमें एक बंद कमरा है, उसमें किस तरीके से खून हो सकता है? ही विल गिव मी 3 आइडियाज़। सो ही इज़ बीइंग क्रिएटिव, राइट? बट ही इज़ स्टिल डिपेंडेंट ऑन द प्रॉम्प्ट दैट आई एम गिविंग। How am I prompting the machine is how the machine will react to me.
Okay, Rahul, your perspective on this?
Yeah, so
Is it is can AI be creative? Can an algorithm be creative?
uh,
Or is it just taking data and
no,
remixing
no,
it
no,
and
no,
giving
no,
it to
no.
you?
So there is a friend of mine who did animations here in Noida, and the animation that he would do would take you eons of time if you compare it to what he's doing now. And he started implementing AI, and it's fairly amazing because what Abhimanyu said is that he gives a base idea, a script is written, modifies the script, etc., and then he says, "Okay, create the characters." The characters are created. He uses that again to sit down and do the animations, etc., etc., etc. He started off a YouTube channel called Rahasya Lok TV or something, where every week he's putting in a 12-minute or a 15-minute film. And some of them are really, really nice films on mythology and stuff like that, which if you had to do it every week in the old traditional way, number one, you wouldn't have been able to do it in a week. It would definitely not be the kind of quality it is. So the creativity is definitely there, and it is helping in creativity. I mean, he's doing the voiceovers through AI, he's doing the script through AI, he's doing the work, he's doing the music through AI. And I mean, he's creating shots every day. Other than the videos, he's creating shots every day using the same technology.
So your belief is that AI is creative.
Yes, of course. I mean, it has to be the guy behind. And again, on a lighter note, as far as this is concerned, let me just share the news experience where you had virtual sets and you had virtual graphics, etc. And you had a producer who would come and say, "Baba, ऐसे ऐसे आग लग गई है या plane crash हो गया है, कुछ झमाझम बना दो." That used to be the brief. Now the poor guy in the graphics room who had a Wizard system or a watch system, whatever, and he would use his head and use his brain and say, "अच्छा ऐसा ये है building fielding ये वो कर करा के बना दिया." And then the producer comes and says, "बाबा ये तो कूड़ा है." Now whatever you create will definitely not be kooda. I mean, the background and the elements that come in can definitely not be called kooda. You know. So yeah, it'll definitely help you out to that area. But then the brief has to be right. It's not that the system is doing it in themselves. So like he was saying, that you have to keep doing the prompts and redoing the prompts and bring it back to what you want out of it.
Yeah. Your perspective on what your clients have been achieving through it. You say they're happy. They start meta tagging, they start doing all of that. It accelerates the process. So, but is it really creative AI? Are some of your partners using it for creativity?
I think it's a matter of choice and perspective. What I have seen is some customers who are not averse to using AI are trying to say that, okay, let's do this. Like uh, Anil and Abhimanyu
Rahul,
mentioned and Rahul
Rahul.
mentioned
Yeah.
that it's a brief. So we have a ideation agent, and these ideation agents are exactly doing these kind of things, Rahul. So where think of it like you're designing your house, and while designing your house, you're doing your interior designs. You tell the guy that, oh, I want my kitchen like this. My bathroom has to be like this. The tiles are to be like this. So you're doing a similar experience until your house is created in that way. You're reiterating that process till you see those 3Ds and visuals and so on. So that's the draft stage you are in, and the customers with us are also working in the similar manner where they know that it's a hockey stick model. The AI will embrace this, but it'll course correct, it'll rectify itself and climb up that journey. And it's not like a 1 month, 10-day, 15-day process. It takes time because the AI, just like your kid, it's going to learn. It's going to learn the life lessons and then get more mature and more polished. Coming back to your question of what you said, whether our customers are liking it or having problems with it, I think it's depending on whether they want to be creative with it. Like we ourselves are going to make Ramayana. I think the teaser just
Yeah, I've
came
seen the
out.
teaser
Yeah.
yesterday. That's another plug. You owe me another dinner.
So in our own pipelines of Ramayana, so we are so Namit is trying to create history by going back into Ramayana, and he has spent like money onto it. So I think it is going to be creative. We are going to create what is your mood look like? How does the VFX design work? How does the prompts work around that? What will it do to your face? Does it have wrinkles? Does don't have wrinkles? All of those things are creative aspects as well, not just things like this. And one of the things is the creativity aspect of it is a entry barrier for a lot of common people. I think AI has kind of removed a lot of these kind of friction points where it has reduced that entry barrier to entry. If you look at it, a person who had to learn Adobe tool or creative tools, a lot of things around just the tooling itself, not just the creative aspect, it has at least removed that friction to a lot of extent, where a common person can now go and write a prompt and ask this for doing this and doing that. People have done it in Hollywood. They are doing their production at 1/100th of the cost of what they used to do it earlier. So I think there's a lot of potential in that creativity aspect as well. But like everyone said, I think the brains is still going to be the humans, and a lot of assistant type of things during the direction of your entire production is going to where your AI will come in to draft, redraft, reiterate, and then make it more creative.
Yeah, but Abhimanyu, there's one major issue here. There's not enough of Indian data within the current generative AI models. There's not enough. So, like he said, there's issues of consistency. So, unless we, so therefore, the challenge is building enough data from within India, within the Gen AI.
So the machine
And
will only learn
yeah,
once you feed data,
yeah.
and I think that that's the process that's going to be, guys like Prime Focus and all are, way ahead of the curve on things like this. Namit's always been a visionary, and I think it's going to be a challenge where
Actually, it
they'll
was Namit.
collaborate.
It wasn't Namit, it was Ramki at Prime Focus, if I'm correct. Yeah, I know. Namit's the founder, along with the six, seven other guys, along with
That's
Medicine and
correct.
all of them.
So
But
Namit
Ramki
is
was
a
running this division.
That's correct. Yeah. Ramki is the founder of Prime Focus Technologies. Namit
Oh,
is the group founder, and he is the one who has created the vision of Ramayana
yeah.
and the other
Yeah.
things.
So I don't. Was that a correction to me? I have known
Please
Namit
go
for
ahead.
30
Please go ahead.
years, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what he's created. But anyways, um, the point is that uh, you know uh, the data that has to be fed into the machine will make the machine smarter, right? And so if it's not smart enough, that's our problem, human beings. We need to keep feeding data to it, and it'll become smarter and smarter. The you see, AI does a few things in simple terms, like Rahul was just talking about, that if I give instructions to a person, then it is left to that person's imagination, and he can make an error, but the machine won't make an error, because machine अगर एक बार error कर दिया उसने और उसको सिखा दिया, वो सीख गया, वो फिर वो error नहीं करेगी. उसी like it's like Excel file. Okay, if I feed 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, then the machine has learned that this is what it is, and then it'll all give you the correct answer like a calculator. Similarly, AI will works on probability, right? So it'll give you the most probable. If you say Hanumanji's face, you want, right?
You don't get the
No, no,
same Hanumanji's face
no, no.
every
So
time.
it'll create a face taking the highest probable Hanumanji's face, and then go into various other and then create it, right? So the more data it gets fed on various pictorials of Hanumanji, will output will be according, right? So its
It's a
output
matter
is
of time.
is equal to input, right? So the machine will only get smarter, okay? And that's, I was reading somewhere by 2030 it'll be fairly evolved, that we'll get to वो perfection आ जाएगा जहाँ, anyways, deep fakes and all challenges and problems we have right now. But it'll become, the fact is that an actor can just give his right, moral right, and that moral right can be good enough for you to create everything in a studio, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's only the tip of the iceberg. I mean, इसमें बहुत sectors में, हर सेक्टर में, हर डिपार्टमेंट में, अकाउंटिंग हो या प्रोडक्शन प्लानिंग हो या
यहाँ पे
एडिटिंग
मीडिया
हो.
मीडिया एंड एंटरटेनमेंट की बात
हाँ,
चल रही है यहाँ पे, उसकी बात करेंगे हम.
नहीं तो मतलब अकाउंटिंग तो
अच्छा,
हमारे
विद इन
सेक्टर में
योर
भी
मीडिया
होता
एंड
है,
एंटरटेनमेंट,
मतलब हाँ.
ठीक है.
हाँ,
और तो
तो
उसके अंदर भी आप
बिना
AI यूज
पैसे
कर,
के थोड़ी ना
AI
कोई
उसके
स्किल
ऊपर
बन
यूज
जाता है.
करोगे आप,
हाँ,
इवन
हाँ.
फॉर अकाउंटिंग.
Everything is going to get, see, everything in our sector is getting impacted. मैं अपने सेक्टर के बारे में बात कर सकता हूँ, और मुझे लगता है अगर हमारे सेक्टर में हो रहा है तो सब सेक्टर में होगा. It is, the concept is the same, ना.
लेकिन आपने एक चीज कही आपने कि डीप फेक्स आ रहे हैं, उसको कैसे हम संभालें, जैसे कि मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं स्प्रेड होए, और हम लोग जो डेटा ले रहे हैं पूरे इंटरनेट से, एंड आल्सो फ्रॉम द जेन एआई, और किसी का डेटा है वो, और वो रीमिक्स कर रहा है और हमें दे रहा है, एथिक्स कहाँ पे है वहां पे?
नहीं, I think again, the AI will be smart enough to catch that. There'll be laws that will have to be protected, created to protect all that. Moral rights will be very important, right? क्योंकि आवाज हो या चेहरा हो या यू नो इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी हो, ये सारी चीजें कॉपी की जा सकती हैं. अब इनको प्रोटेक्ट करना पड़ेगा, तो वो सब तो आएगा, रेगुलेशंस आएंगे, आई एम श्योर. मींस लाइक everything gets regulated, this too will be regulated. But the point is that it is going to be only an addition to creativity. It'll help in the whole process of taking us as a creative economy to the next level. It's not, we shouldn't fear it, we should embrace it.
Okay, thank you for being a very participatory audience. I hope you all got some takeaways from this. The takeaway I got is that it's going to help and it's going to harm. It's going to create jobs. We are going to lose jobs. It's going to be a mixed bag. So all the best for us in the future with AI. Thank you very much, all of you all.